and welcome to Add More Zest. My name's Rebecca, also known as 4Kids at 147. Happy 11th of December, everybody. We are now well into double digits, nearly halfway, and I'm so not ready for it. But I'm using a small navy tray today. This one is from May of this year. And I'm using this pen that was gifted to me by Stacey. Now this one has come with its own tip. I have wax in this one. So let's see how many times I potentially have to refill for this square up at the tippy top. But we get some edging done on this one. And I do need to nudge number 17 down because I nudged it up a little bit to do number 4. So let's just scoot that down ever so slightly. And I can do number 11. So I want my question mark symbol, and this is where I need to have a little bit of a shuffle. Excuse me. Get zoomed in and then have a little bit of a shuffle with the painting to make sure that I get it in frame. Look at those diamonds in there though. Beautiful. I'm just coming in from the side, so if it does go on a slight angle, that's why, because I'm coming into this one from the side, trying not to squash the rest of the bottom of it. But we got this cute little wreath for today. But yeah, I hope everybody is well. Wonder if anybody else, well, I saw Jackie, I think, posted in the group. I'm not sure if it was today or yesterday about whether anybody has snow. And I can say that we got snow. It is very rare for it to snow. Well, not very rare, but rarer for it to snow in our town, because we are in like a valley. So it tends to be really, really cold for it to snow here. But it has snowed. It is the type of snow, it's not disappeared overnight, but most of the main, well, definitely the main roads are snow free. That it's just sort of melted with the gritting that was done and the use. So I did nip to IKEA last night. I'll have to remember to bring my cross stitch into the craft room for tomorrow's video. I nearly forgot. Well, in fact, I did forget to measure my cross stitch before I went to IKEA. But hubby was home, so he measured the design area for me, and I did pick up a frame. I have put it in the frame, albeit it is not the best framing job, and I did it over the backboard of the frame to sort of stretch it as much as I can, but I wanted to see, I was too eager to see what it looked like. And it looks great for being propped up, but if I want to hang it up onto the wall, I need to frame it better. It's just trying to find something that is stiff enough to stretch the cross stitch over as much as possible to get it flat, but not too thick that I can't then put it into the frame. But yeah, I did do that. I did also pick up some storage bits we wanted for organising stock, which is pretty much always the case. So we did manage to pick up some storage for organising all that as well. And yeah, it wasn't too bad nipping out, apart from being cold. But yes, we have had snow, which say, we're not kind of used to. Luna loved it though. She went out. It was big fat snowflakes when it first started to snow, albeit not snowing for long. So Caris was hoovering the stairs, and she's like, "Oh, stop! I need to come." So we let Luna out, and she promptly sort of went out, looked about, realised that she could eat the snowflakes. So therefore did a little bit of eating of snowflakes, but then realised what was on the ground was a bit more. She loves a good ice cube. She loves chomping on an ice cube. So yeah, she just saw it as one big ice cube. She did go for a little bit of a slide, but yeah, she had great fun eating the snow off the floor. It's not been as cold the last couple of days, so we'll see how long the snow lasts for. But you know, it makes the garden look nice. Covers all the grass and everything else and makes the garden look pretty. So that's always good. Right, comments. So Nancy, she says, "Oh, Rebecca," she says, "what about a June special image?" I never say never in relation to to doing a diamond painting for June. However, I do like the fact that in June, because we do the June waffle, we do it with something from our stash, and it gets a painting from my stash completed, and everybody else gets a painting from their stash completed. And it sort of shows that you don't have to buy something to do the waffle, or even the advent, but you don't have to buy something to join in the event. I think while we could potentially get one done for June, we are cutting it fine with the time to get an image sort of prepared, rendered, and get the item ordered and get it here. It's not the quickest process if we want to do it in the most cost-effective way to get the best price, because shipping via air while it is quicker, it is definitely not cheaper. So and with going away in January and all the preparation I need to do before that, I don't think it's something that will happen this year. Whether it happens in a future year, I say never. We might be able to look at potentially getting some Zesty Wolf that people can do, but of course I have done that one, so it's up in my craft room and ready. Oh, I'm losing my wax already, and I've only done round the edge. This is why I like glue dots. Wax doesn't seem to last anywhere near as long as I potentially could get it to last. Yeah, so it's a never say never, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen this year. There's a lot of planning that goes in the background in relation to even the December Advent, to the point that we're actually discussing potential December Advent things and trying to put things into place. Even now, you know, discussions have happened over Advent and started looking into Advent early on. But yeah, never say never, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. I like the idea of us using one from our stash, and I would be tempted to switch them so that I did a painting that, you know, we sold in June and did one out of my own stash in December. But I have so many more ideas for paintings that are suitable for December than I do for June, because I'd have to find, you know, just an image, and it can be very, yeah, people like different things. People like different things, and I went a little bit outside the box with this advent and the colour scheme of this advent, but it seems to have worked. So whether I could pull it off finding an image that a lot of people like for June, I doubt it. I don't even know if that picks them up. Hopefully. I'm working with wax. I haven't worked with wax for so long. I don't think my brain quite knows what it's doing. Melissa, she says, good afternoon, Rebecca. She said, day 7 looks amazing. She said the black background really makes the image stand out. She says she hasn't decided her favourite square yet. She really likes the reindeer, the snowman and the bird, but her favourite number is 7, so she's not sure. I think we should just all have multiple favourite squares. I think I've got about 25 favourite squares. And that's just what I'll stick to. I have 25 favourites. Now, I do have a couple that I think are my favourites over others, but then every time I do one, I'm like, oh, but that one looks good. Like number 8 that's finished. I just think it looks amazing with 2 trees in it. It's like, oh, maybe I like that one as well. She says she doesn't know if this counts as starting Christmas shopping. She says, but she's been at a general hospital appointment with her son today. So while she was there, she was browsing Amazon and adding most things to her cart. She said she just needs to check out. She said, what do you think? Have I started or not? She said, have a lovely evening. I would say you've started the planning stages with having it in your cart. I don't know if you can say you've actually started the shopping aspect of it until you've bought something, when it's online, unless you've physically gone into a shop. So I think you're very closely there, and I think just check out and then you can say you've started. You've started and you're done. I had so many tabs on my computer open, different tabs on my browser when Caris and I were shopping, just in case I needed to go back and add something from another place. Yeah, and I just had loads of tabs, and then it was like, okay, can we class this shop as done? Can we class that shop as done? There was a few places that were more unique items, more independent shops. So it was like, okay, right, let's check out from those, because we've confirmed everybody. We've got everybody that we need from there. Let's check out. And yeah, then there was the last few straggly bits left over. Liz, she says, thanks for a lovely whip and waffle. She said she had to laugh when I read out her comment on Christmas jammies. She said, and how you spent the day in yours. She said, just what I've done today. She said, it's freezing cold, so fleecy jammies it was. She says she works from home, so that's one of the benefits when you feel like it. She says life seems to have got out of control over the last few days. She says both at work and at home, so she's trying her best to carve out a little bit of me time. She said even if it's just to colour one of my advent pictures. She says she's currently colouring 3 advent pictures, an image for each day, so it only takes between 15 to 30 minutes each. Yes, that's so important. Yesterday, after I'd done Advent and all that sort of stuff, I was between, actually had a whole section of wax come out and sit on that dot then. It was a cross between sitting and potentially doing some diamond painting or something, or doing some organising yesterday, and some tidying up of bits that were about. And I decided to choose the organising / tidying up, because while I love sitting and diamond painting, and I did do some yesterday evening, so I did still manage to get some done, I knew that I would feel so much better for longer if I got the organising done. It's not finished, but it's definitely the chunk is done, which should make life a lot easier. We got lots of white. Lots of white on this one, with some ABs are going to be sprinkled in. And I'm sort of ended up creeping up a little bit on this side. Creeping up a little bit further, but I think I'm going to do round the outside, and then I'm going to do in the middle. Do it as like 2 different parts. Lady Dax, she said she almost nailed it today, but you had finished when she still had 1 AB left to do. She said, hearing you talk about your company today, she said, made me think about what she loves about Admiral's Est. She said, well, everything, obviously, with a cheeky smiley face. She says, but she thinks, oh, just turn that off. She says, she thinks what she really loves and respects about you guys, she said, is your simple but practical packaging, she says, of products and orders. She says so many companies, she says the big ones, she says put a ton of glitz into the packaging of items, she said, and bump the price way up. She said, I feel that you guys care and respect about us as much as we do you. She says, that's why whenever I can, I will always support the smaller family businesses out there. Oh, thank you so much. I do often wonder, you know, when you see so many, even small businesses as well as big, so many businesses doing, oh yeah, we do this free product, we do that free product. And I'm always like, they're not free. They're not free. They're built in there somewhere. And as lovely as it is getting your, you know, parcel in a nice pretty package with all the trimmings and the glitz and stuff, the cost has to come from somewhere. It really does. And we truly don't believe in the cost coming from the packaging, because as much as it's like, oh, that's pretty to open, it's like the reality sets in a bit later on that actually I've paid for that. Which is why with the Advent as well, we wanted that to be extremely simple but pretty. You know, there's still an element of pretty. We still, you know, wrap in tissue paper, which is protection from the side of the box, but also the pretty. But we do stick to white because it's the cheapest, and we don't have to bump up costs because we've gone for coloured tissue paper all the time. And yeah, that's why with Advent we did go for the bags. There is still the opportunity. There's a few people that have sort of put them up on string pegs. You could just put them into a pretty box to open them. But the value of the Advent is in the Advent. It's in the things you will keep once the Advent is done. It's not in the rest. And that's what we plan for next year as well. We want the value in the Advent itself, not in the packaging. We just want it to look pretty. We just want it to look pretty, stylish, and yeah, nice. As nice as possible. But yeah, thank you so much for that feedback. Like that always makes us smile that we are, you know, doing the right thing. We do giveaways every now and then. They are items that have been sent to me for free, so they are truly free. They're not bumped into any costings. We do mystery bags, which gives, you know, the opportunities to get, like, where you can get 5 30 by 40 paintings for a £5 that crop up every now and then. So you can get yourself your nice bargain that way. And that is saved really just to cover the postage and the time to pack them and things. And yeah, we try and do it in different little ways. And we also have the odd time that we do send free items out. We have done it for a few different customers under a few different circumstances and things, but we don't make a big thing about advertising those when we do them. But the people who've got them know who they are. The people who have had things in the past know who they are, they know why they've got them, and yeah, we'll just continue to do the odd little bit of love when we can. I've just found where that wax went. I was like, why has it gone from picking things up to not picking it up at all? And it's because the wax had come out and sat on there. I think it's wax. It's wax. It's testing me is what it's doing. Somebody did ask actually on Facebook, Lindsay, she said, hi Rebecca and Megan. She said she absolutely loves our trays. She says very well made and absolutely perfect. She says, but the originals are fabulous too. She said she's seen a video or two where you talk about your older tray styles. She says it made her curious. She says she guesses she's a bit nerdy, but would love to hear the story of your trays, how they came about, changes you made, etc. She said it may all be explained in videos she hasn't got to yet. She says, please point me in the direction if so. She said she'd just love to hear about how a small business starts and love to see them succeed. She says she'd love to know our story. She says, thanks for all you do. She says she knows the last launch, which would have been the October launch, because this has been here for a while, and I'm sorry Lindsay, I keep forgetting because it's not in the comments. She says it was quite an undertaking, she says, but she's so happy with the purchases that she got, and she's hidden her advent so that she didn't rip into it. So a brief, I'll try and keep it briefish. I'm sure there'll be questions off the back of it. But YouTube, I started doing YouTube years ago. I was doing scrapbooking, which was the craft of choice. There's loads of scrapbooking YouTubers out there, but I did it because I enjoyed it. I then found diamond painting, or maybe it found me, who knows. So diamond painting found me, and I started doing videos more so on that. It got me to the point of being hooked, and I was not particularly scrapbooking at all. I was diamond painting all the way, and pretty much have been ever since. So I started doing videos on that. So that's where sort of YouTube started. In with diamond painting and with doing it, I wanted some way to store my spare diamonds. And there were quite a few methods out there at the time. I did actually start and put into place what we call, or what's called, the binder method. So using just a folder, a binder, a ring binder with cards with wallets in that hold baseball cards. So it holds like 9 baseball cards or ATG cards, or, you know, they're used for multiple different things, but it basically has a load of different pockets. And I used that, and I actually set it all up with all the DMC numbers and popped, I've lost my wax again, and popped my diamonds into it. I'm just going to see if I can take this wax out and put a whole fresh lot in, because this wax has obviously dried out and won't let me keep hold of the other wax. So excuse me while I just try and take wax out of, dried up wax out of my pen. So yeah, I used the binder method, but I got annoyed with it. I got annoyed with it as I was setting it up, but I didn't know of any other way of setting it up. And the reason I got annoyed is because of the 9 pockets. Depending on where the DMC numbers fell, I would have really chunky top corner or inside corner. It would be really chunky because I actually had quite a few numbers of the diamonds that went into that pocket, but then maybe the pocket in the middle I'd have none, and therefore it'd be really thin. So I just didn't like the way it lay. I also found that the likes of 310, I wasn't able to fit a load of them in there. I wasn't, you know, they were ones that I had more of than anything else. Not that I had a load, but I kept thinking the more diamonds I get and add to this, the more frustrating this is going to get. And it was the only real thing that anybody used at that time. A couple of people kept them in containers, storage containers, but I didn't have the space to keep them in storage containers, the little bottles, and I didn't want to particularly spend that sort of cost getting it set up for every DMC number. So I was having a think. I think I may have been in Australia at the time. I think I was discussing with my mum, or, you know, thinking about the storage while I was there. Anyway, I may have done the binder storage when I first got back home and gave that a go after doing, you know, some Googling. And yeah, because it didn't work, I kept trying to think of a different way to do my storage. And that's when I thought of the photo box, the standing up. So what I kept thinking was, okay, the bags, the grip seal bags that I've put my diamonds in work. I just want a way that it can expand, it can grow. But, you know, I can shuffle things about, but I don't want to redo it every single time it grows. So, yeah, I came up with the idea of the photo box. I worked out that with the storage bags, the grip seal bags that I already had, I could fit 3 rows in it, long ways. I used cardboard at first because it was all I had in. So I used some thick card to create my dividers. I already had, in fact, it's exactly the same cardstock that we still sell in the shop now. I had a load of A4 pieces of that card from making wedding invitations. So I had a bulk amount. So I used that card and it's been used ever since. It's even what we sell in the shop now. We get it directly from the supplier. And yeah, I created, in effect, a very basic level, which worked perfectly. The prettiness came later, of the storage box. That concept was picked up on my YouTube channel, sort of grew. And then it came to the point that Megan and I will get to the trays in a minute, but that Megan and I created pretty stickers for my storage. And they are the same ones that are available as a free download. They are the stickers that we made for my storage. And initially they were made just for me, just to make it pretty. There was no concept of, in effect, selling them or a store or anything like that off the back of either the storage video or the making it pretty. There was nothing off the back of that. Then we started getting a few requests for the stickers, and Megan was selling them separately on the likes of through, I think it was Facebook comments. Did Facebook come first before the shop? I can't quite remember. But Megan was basically selling them and posting them off individually and separately before we got to the point that we decided to do the shop and do a full range of them. We looked also and found a supplier for stickers where we could have them pre-cut, which is our now pre-cut stickers. We also found a supplier that could do the small labels for on the bags, and that sort of expanded from there with the cardstock, the stickers, all that sort of side of the business, the whole storage organisation and making it pretty. And that was very busy and took off when the shop went. And when we set up the shop, hubby said, oh, I could get a 3D printer and we could design a tray. So of course my brain started whirring as to, what our design could be. And I knew pretty much from the off that I wanted the tray to be shaped like a diamond, is what I wanted. The tray to be like a diamond. It needed to have a spout. It needed to have the cover over the spout, this part, and it needed the stopper. That's what it needed. We did a couple of, I think the first one had angled sides as well. It was like it was half of a diamond. It had angled sides and stuff, but it was too thin, it was too weak, it just didn't work. Then we came up with the second design, which in effect was this design, but bigger. Our original Add More Zest tray. And yeah, once we got the spacing for the diamonds and everything right, which took a while, because if you actually do these lines too high, the diamonds don't settle. It's actually the line height that took a while to get right. But once we got that right, the tray design has pretty much stayed the same. The only differences are we did originally put 4 Kids at 147 in the bottom of the tray. Let me see if I can find one. Do I have one? I should have one in here. Oh, no, it does have an old stock colour, but we originally put the branding on the bottom of the tray. So this is a slightly lighter grey, but yeah, it was in the bottom of the tray. However, it didn't always print right because the printer builds up layers. Sometimes it wouldn't sit right. So, I'm trying to find the second one. So what we eventually ended up doing was we ditched it on the bottom and made the bottom flat, and we put a sticker on the end. So this is one of the 4 Kids with stickers. Still the same tray design, still with the stopper, all that stayed the same. But we popped a sticker on the end to confirm that it was our tray because it was neater and it was better. We then rebranded the business side of things to Add More Zest, because you can add more zest with diamonds, you can add more zest with organisation. It was a company name that, could go in many different ways, could suit many different things. And 4 kids at 147 doesn't make sense to everybody. It is just because I have 4 kids and we live at number 147. So yeah, the tray design has only really altered in where the branding is and where the branding goes. And now we actually have the branding set in the tray, but in the end of the tray. So it actually prints nicely because it prints up layer by layer rather than on top of each other on the bottom. And yeah, so that was the story of the tray. And the tray took off. The tray is probably, it is our biggest seller. It is what made the business into something that could be full-time. Allows us to bring all the other accessories that come with, that people want. Allows us to get to the point of doing the advent calendar. And YouTube is what allows us to work with the likes of Diamond Art Studio and produce a diamond painting every now and then. And yeah, it's just sort of grown and snowballed over time. It was never particularly intentional. It wasn't like, oh, we have a 10-year goal, we want to do this. It is just, it's grown with what you guys want. With what you guys want, with what we can provide, with ideas that I've come up for my own storage, my own diamond painting journey. Hubby's desire to 3D print. I'm sure there's been times that he's been like, oh, why? Why did we ever decide to do this? And it took a while for us to get the design right, but there's not necessarily been lots and lots of different designs. Once we got the design has worked absolutely perfect. It's the branding and the things on it that have adjusted over time. And now we have the Zesty tray as well. And that came from you guys. You guys wanted a tray that was just a little bit smaller and a little bit easier for you to hold in your hands. And some people have both sizes of trays and they can work with both. Some people just prefer the big one. Some people just prefer the small one. And yeah, it's you guys that prompted us to do that. Even the trashy tray that is coming out in January, that was you guys, well, you guys initially asking for a cover minder of some sort. And I think somebody did mention it being one of our trays, albeit smaller. And the trashy was born. And it is one of our trays, but smaller. We did try putting the branding in the end of this one, but due to the size of it, it didn't read right. So we decided, we much prefer it to look right than necessarily have the branding on the end. We've had to make it a lot fatter on its sides, which only really looks weird when you look at the end, to make that work. And yeah, it's because of you guys that we have trashy. And while it's not a cover minder, in the fact that it doesn't have a magnet on it, you can stick your own magnets onto it perfectly fine. The reason we aren't is in the UK, and if you sell something with like magnets attached like this, it would be classed as a toy. So you have to treat it as a toy, in the fact that it has magnets. Children could be attracted to it, and if that's the case, you have to treat it as a toy. There's a lot of legislation and stuff that you have to include in your packaging in relation to the magnet. They can only be certain strengths. Yeah, you have to be careful of the strength and all that, which for a small business to try and get right it's a lot. It's a lot. And people wanted it without the magnet as much as people wanted it with. So yeah, with people stating that they did and didn't, we have decided, we never say never. You know, it may be that we get our head around it properly and things change, but for now we're doing it without any magnet, because you can, you know, take it upon yourself to stick a magnet on the back of that with super glue or whatever else and use it as a magnet. But if anything goes wrong, it's not because of something we've done, if that makes sense. Whereas if you live in a house without children and you know it's not a problem, then that's fine. And one of the big things as well was not only the fact of it's not as much it having the fact of one magnet, it's the fact that a cover minder has 2 magnets. And it's 2 magnets, if swallowed, that can have a problem with children and their intestines, and, you know, them basically attracting to each other in the body and doing not nice things. That, yeah, makes it's a wormhole. It is a wormhole, and we did go down the wormhole, but we didn't make it out unscathed. It is crazy. Right, I'm going to move on to number 4. I was going to do some others and then come back to the ABs, but there are so many colours in here, it's like, which one do I do? So I'm just going to go with my firm favourite of start from the bottom and go by what colour, rather than trying to decide which one to pick. And in turn, we're going for sparkle. So I've just gone across in rows. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Lindsay. I know that's a big long one and I've probably gone right back to the beginning, but I know there's quite a few people that, you know, have joined the Facebook group, the YouTube, you know, community, all the rest of it in the last few years. So hopefully that sort of explains how we became Add More Zest. Finding a company name took ages because I was trying to find one that would work, you know, no matter what we're doing, whether we are doing just diamond painting goodies or whether we decided to venture into something else as well and do, you know, something on top of the diamond painting goodies. And yeah, it took ages to pick the name, but I am ever so grateful to each and every one of you that has made it possible by, you know, buying our trays, joining in our advents, and all of that. It's you guys that's made it possible, and it's your guys' requests and ideas and everything that has helped us to grow with what we offer and what we sell. You know, we do have many ideas ourselves, but quite often we will sidetrack or implement what you guys want quicker because you want it. If you want it, you want it. But I have so many ideas for so many things. I just need an extra 24 hours per day to be able to implement everything that I would love to do. That would be good. Can we just have, double the lifespan, please? Or just supersonic speed. That could work. I could maybe get stuff done quicker that way. Jo says she's loving the advent. Every day is a new image to see. It is. I'm loving it. Like, I like the mini paintings that I've been doing, but there's something nice about it being mini paintings but makes one big painting just as much. A little bit of pizzazz behind each section. I think I've got all of them. This could very well be the one that I miss diamonds off. Okay. Am I on the right? Yeah. Checking I was on the right yellow. Love this colour. Looks so good. When you first look at it, you think, oh, it's a dirty yellow, but it's actually not. It's a nice, warm mustard. All Things Crafty by Kaz. She says, awesome video today. She says she's watching this while she's getting ready for her night shift. Dawn Marie, she says, where did you get the pattern for your Christmas cross stitch? She said that would make a beautiful diamond painting. The pattern was from Etsy. It was actually in Russian, which is one of the things that made it highly entertaining, was deciphering some Russian to make sure that I was looking at the right thing. While it would make an amazing diamond painting, I couldn't make one directly from the pattern because the back stitch is what makes it pop, is what brings it definition. Plus it has quarter stitches in there, it has half stitches in there, and it also has blended coloured threads where you take one thread of a DMC colour and one thread of another DMC colour, and you actually combine them together to stitch some stitches. Because I did think that, but every time I did the cross stitch or looked at the pattern, I was like, there's no way this can work. Purely because of the fact of these half stitches and the fact that when it was finished, even if I decided to make them full stitches and figure it out another way, once it was finished, it didn't, before I'd done the back stitch, it didn't look anywhere near as good as the finished image because the back stitch is what brings it to life. Gray Legrand says, what was so complex about it? She says she's asking as a very inexperienced cross stitcher. So the first challenge was it was in Russian. Now there are apps, or even I think your phone, you can get it to translate text, so I could translate the printed out version to figure out. So really being in Russian wasn't a huge thing, but it was an extra step that needed to be done. It was more the fact that there was blended stitches, so say where it had two different threads, two different colours of thread that you did them both together as a stitch. It had half stitches, so rather than doing the full cross you would just do half of one. There was some parts that you then I think had to do a quarter stitch or a half, and even some of the back stitch, it didn't go down the line like it normally would. So normally your back stitch would like go in between the brown and the grey. On some of it, it went down the middle of a diamond or the middle of a stitch. Just because of the way the image was. So it just was more complicated in the fact it wasn't straightforward stitches and it wasn't straightforward colours, and the fact that it was in Russian, so I had to keep translating everything before I could do anything, because yeah, it was fun to do and I enjoyed, you know, it was a challenge in itself. And I love the image enough that it was like, well, I'm doing it anyway. But yeah, it was a challenging cross stitch. Not as easy as some of the others I've done that have just been straight stitches. A bit like diamond painting. Lisa's Colouring Corner, she says she is still enjoying the advent calendar so much. She said the canvas and the drills are awesome. She said her black squares aren't stuck together. She said she would love another advent calendar for next year, as she's having so much fun with this one. It is fun, isn't it? Even if you don't put it up, it's still fun. Well, I'll keep advent calendar in mind as a backup if my original plan and my original thought isn't able to come to fruition, because of course my original thought is complicated. So we shall see if I can make complicated work. Smolga says, I've probably hashed that name, so apologies. Said they've been ill for the past 2 days, but they felt well enough to diamond paint a section today, and they said they love my channel. Oh, thank you, and I hope you're feeling better and are able to get a few more sections in over the coming days as your strength gets back up. It's not nice feeling ill, because even when you sat there feeling ill, your mind's thinking of all the things you want to do and you would love to do, but for some reason, you know, for the fact of being ill, you can't do. But yeah, rest up, take it easy, use it as an excuse to diamond paint more when you are feeling the strength to diamond paint. It's good for your body because you can sit and rest and keep your mind occupied. Denise said, she says she knows it's probably too much to ask for. She says, but a square Zesty Wolf would be great. Not sure if we can do a square in Zesty Wolf. It would need recharting. So because it's a different amount of diamonds for the space, it would need a whole rechart. A bit like this advent was 2 charts. One for the square and one for the round, which took more time. Never say never, but it's not a quick thing to do a Zesty as a square. He does look adorable in rounds though. Absolutely adorable. Denise, she says, me again. She says, another suggestion, she said, would be to benefit shipping. She says, and because you like the style so much. She said, but have you thought about doing your own mini paintings? She said they'd be way easier on shipping cost internationally. She said, and you could do an advent where it really is a painting a day. It has entered my head. The only thing is a manufacturer that can do the paintings. So while we know Paint Gem can, they are, I don't know if they're the company as well as the manufacturer or not. So it could potentially take a lot of digging to find somewhere that could and provide the quality that we want in with. Again, it's a never say never, and I like the idea, and I do have, say, ideas for potentials for next year. Just need to see if I can make it work. Right, square 11 actually caught up with me doing that black. It finished a lot quicker than I thought it would, but I'm done. I kind of like to see the whole painting. Took me a bit longer, that one, I'm sure it did. Only by how many times my memory card saved. But hey, I've chatted a lot, haven't I? So, yeah, number 11 is done. And we can see the border coming together now across the top, which I think looks really, really nice. Where are we tomorrow? Oh, we're over here. So we have another, we're starting to sort of connect things now a little bit more. We're on number 12. Oh, it's a little girl tomorrow. We have a little girl. I'm trying not to peel off the full sticker because I think sneaking a look at the schematic is a little bit different to pulling that all off. But yeah, nearly the halfway point tomorrow. We have 25 little images on this one, so we won't quite be at halfway, but we're going to be very close to halfway, and I'm kind of sad because I think I want another 25 more to do. But anyway, day 11 is done. Thank you all so much for joining me and listening to my waffles today. I'm sure there will be many comments and questions off the back of it, but hopefully that was a compact enough rundown of in effect everything, how the business started and how our trays started. And I can't imagine diamond painting with anything else now. And that might be tooting my own horn a little bit, but they just do the job for me. It is part of the happy path that diamond painting is having a mighty fine tray. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you all again soon.